welcome to this demo in which I'm going to show you the initial implementation and integration of the healthcare use case with the EDGELESS system. Before starting with the demo, I'm going to explain you the diagram that we can see on the bottom right of the screen. Everything starts with the senior person simulator, which simulates several sensors connected in a house of the senior person. Every time this senior person simulator generates data, this is a new event that triggers the execution of an EDGELESS workflow. In the EDGELESS workflow, the execution starts with the HTTP ingress resource that receives the HTTP requests, and after this resource we have the data parsing function that formats and parses the data that comes from the sensors, and after this data parsing we have the ML preprocessor and the file log pref. The file log pref is a file log resource that stores the information in a file. This is really useful for these intermediate steps because it allows us to analyze all the information in a file and check if everything has gone as expected. The ML preprocessor processes the data to be ready for the machine learning algorithms and sends the information to the file log resource, which again is really useful to analyze this data. Okay, so now let's start with the demo. First, I need to connect to a Raspberry Pi through SSH because the Raspberry Pi is the target device for this use case. So, let's connect. Okay, first I'm going to execute a command that will show us information about this hardware. As you can see, we are using a Raspberry Pi 5 Model B. Now I'm going to go to the desktop directory, and as you can see we don't have any files here, but the files generated by the file log and the file log pref resources will be stored in the desktop. So now I'm going to access to another directory in which we have several things. First, we have EDGELESS, which contains the EDGELESS system, healthcare EDGELESS, which is a directory that contains all the code and everything related with the use case, and the senior person simulator that contains the senior person simulator. So let's go to the healthcare EDGELESS, and if we check the files available here, we can see several scripts that are interesting because we need to execute those scripts to start the system. So I want to show you the content of these scripts so that you can understand what we are doing. This is the scripts with the necessary to start the EDGELESS system. This contains the command necessary to create a new workflow within the EDGELESS system using the definition in the workflow.json. So I'm going to show you this workflow definition. Okay, this workflow.json contains the definition that is equivalent to the diagram that I explained at the beginning of the demo. So here we have first of all the name of the workflow, then we have the functions and the resources. In the resources we can see that we have an HTTP ingress, and in the mapping we can see that the new requests go to the data parsing, which is a function defined here. Here you can see all the information about this data parsing. Here is the wasm file that is going to be executed, and in the outputs we can see that we have two outputs that are mapped the parsed data to the ML preprocessor and the log data to the file log pref. The file log pref is a resource that stores the outputs in desktop/testlogpref.log. Let's continue with the ML preprocessor, which is again a Rust function. Here you can see the wasm file that is going to be executed with one output, and this output is mapped to the file log resource. This file log resource stores the outputs in the desktop/testlog.log. Okay, so now we can start the EDGELESS system. To do that, we just need to execute the start EDGELESS script that I showed before, and here we can see that the EDGELESS system has started. So I'm going to open a new connection to the Raspberry Pi. And I need to go to the same directory. And now let's execute the script that starts the workflow. Now that the workflow has started, the EDGELESS system has created the necessary resources and all the necessary for this workflow. So now I'm going to open a new connection. And I'm going to use this new connection to execute the single person simulator. So let's go to that directory. The simulator is a Node.js application, so I need to execute this. This means that the simulator has started, and we just need to wait until it starts generating sensors data. While it starts generating data, let's go to the home directory. Sorry, to the desktop. We just need to wait a couple of seconds and it will start generating data. Okay, here we can see that the simulator has started generating data. So here we can see the files that have been created by the resources. So if we analyze the content of the test log pref, for example, here you can see a line for each sensor generator with all the information. We can do the same with the testlog.log. Well, here you can see that the format is different because a processing has happened in this function. You can see we have, I think, 6 lines because we had 6 generations, and now we have the double. So let's check again the content of the first one, for example, and as you can see, we have more sensors data. And if we check the file log, here you can see all this information that has been generated. And that's it for this demo. Thank you for your attention.